In the pantry of almost every household on Earth, there sits a bottle of golden liquid. It fries our chicken, bakes our cakes, and fuels our salad dressings. It is soybean oil. This vegetable oil is the second most consumed oil in the world, surpassed only by palm oil. But the journey from a hard, round legume in a field to the clear, odorless liquid in a bottle is a masterpiece of chemical engineering. It is a process that involves crushing force, explosive solvents, and temperatures hot enough to melt lead. Our story begins in the Corn Belt of the United States, states like Illinois, Iowa, and Indiana, or the vast savannas of Brazil. The soybean, Glycine max, is a miracle crop. It fixes its own nitrogen from the air, enriching the soil. Farmers harvest the beans in the fall when the moisture content drops below 13%. Massive combine harvesters reap the fields, threshing the beans from the pods. Trucks carrying 900 bushels, roughly 54,000 pounds of beans, line up at the processing plant. These plants are titans of industry, crushing thousands of tons of beans every single day. Upon arrival, the beans are dumped into a pit and lifted by bucket elevators into towering concrete silos. These silos can hold millions of bushels. The first step is preparation. The raw beans are dirty. They are mixed with stems, pods, stones, and field dust. They pass through a series of vibrating screens and powerful aspiration fans that suck away the lighter dust. Large magnets pull out any rogue metal, like nails or tractor parts, that could destroy the expensive machinery downstream. Once clean, the beans are conditioned. They pass through a vertical heating tower where steam raises their temperature to about 160 degrees Fahrenheit. This softens the bean and makes the oil inside more fluid. But a soybean is covered in a tough, fibrous hull that contains no oil. To increase efficiency, this hull must be removed. These warm beans are fed into cracking mills. These are massive, smooth steel drums pressing against each other with tons of hydraulic pressure. As the bean fragments pass through, they are flattened into thin flakes, no thicker than 0.3 millimeters. Why? Because the oil is trapped inside microscopic cells within the bean. Flaking ruptures these cell walls, exposing the oil. If you squeezed a flake now, oil would not come out. The oil is held too tightly. To get it out, we need chemistry. We enter the most dangerous building in the facility, the extraction plant. This is a separate building, often built with blowout walls, designed to collapse outward in case of an explosion. The air is monitored constantly for gas leaks. Here, the soy flakes are washed in a solvent. The solvent of choice is hexane, a petroleum-derived chemical that is highly flammable. The flakes are loaded into a massive machine called the percolation extractor. Imagine a conveyor belt moving slowly inside a sealed stainless steel tunnel. As the bed of soy flakes moves along, showers of liquid hexane rain down on them. The hexane acts as a magnet for oil. It dissolves the fat, pulling it out of the solid flake. The liquid that drips through the bottom of the belt is a mixture of soybean oil and hexane, known in the industry as micella. By the time the flakes reach the end of the extractor, 99% of their oil has been removed. The leftover solids, now called white flake or soy meal, are sent to a toaster to remove the hexane and are sold as high-protein livestock feed. This meal is actually the primary product. The oil is just the lucrative byproduct. But now we have a problem. We have a tank full of micella, oil mixed with toxic hexane. You cannot eat this. The mixture must be distilled. It is pumped into massive evaporators. Since hexane boils at a much lower temperature than soybean oil, heating the mixture causes the hexane to vaporize and rise to the top, where it is captured, condensed, and recycled back into the extractor. The soybean oil stays at the bottom. This process is so efficient that less than a teaspoon of solvent is lost for every ton of beans processed. What remains is crude soybean oil. But don't put this on your salad yet. It is a dark, murky brown liquid. It smells like beans and gasoline. It contains gums, free fatty acids, and pigments. To turn this industrial sludge into the edible oil we know, it must survive the refinery.
We leave the extraction plant and enter the refinery. This is a jungle of stainless steel pipes, pumps, and centrifuges. The goal here is purification, removing the 4 impurities: phosphatides, gums, free fatty acids, pigments, and volatiles. Step 1. Degumming. Crude soybean oil is rich in lecithin, a gummy substance that acts as an emulsifier. If left in the oil, it would form a sticky sludge at the bottom of the bottle. To remove it, the oil is mixed with water and phosphoric acid. The gums attract the water and become heavy. The mixture is then spun in a high-speed centrifuge, spinning at 7,000 RPM. The heavy, wet gums are thrown to the outside wall and collected. Lecithin is sold to chocolate factories, while the lighter oil stays in the center. Step 2. Neutralization. The oil still contains free fatty acids, FFAs, which make the oil taste rancid and smoke easily when heated. To remove them, the factory uses basic chemistry. They add sodium hydroxide, also known as caustic soda or lye. This is a strong base. When it mixes with the acidic FFAs, a chemical reaction occurs, saponification. The acid turns into soap. This soapy byproduct, called soap stock, is separated by another centrifuge. It is sold to soap manufacturers. We have literally washed the oil with lye. Step 3. Bleaching. The oil is now acid-free, but it is still dark red or brown due to chlorophyll and carotenoids from the plant. It needs to be clear and yellow. The oil is pumped into a vacuum tank and mixed with bleaching earth. This is not a chemical bleach like chlorine. It is a natural activated clay, bentonite, mined from the earth. The clay is highly porous. It acts like a sponge, absorbing the color pigments and any remaining metal traces from the oil. The oil and clay mixture passes through pressure leaf filters. The clay, now dark and heavy with impurities, is trapped by the filter screens, while the oil passes through. It emerges sparkling clear, a pale amber gold. Step 4. The deodorizer. This is the most critical step for taste. Even though the oil looks clean, it still smells and tastes like raw soybeans, beany, grassy, and earthy. Consumers want neutral oil that doesn't alter the taste of their food. The oil is pumped into a colossal stainless steel tower called the deodorizer. This tower is under a deep vacuum, meaning there is almost no air inside. The oil travels down a series of trays inside the tower. Superheated steam is blasted through the oil. The temperature rises to nearly 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Under normal atmospheric pressure, the oil would burn at this heat. But in a vacuum, it does not burn. Instead, the high heat causes the volatile odor compounds, aldehydes and ketones, to flash into vapor instantly. The steam strips these smells away, carrying them out of the top of the tower. The oil that flows out of the bottom is now RBD soybean oil, refined, bleached, and deodorized. It is odorless, tasteless, and has a high smoke point, making it perfect for frying. It is cooled rapidly to prevent oxidation. Finally, the packaging. The oil is pumped into filling lines. PET plastic bottles are blown on site from preforms, similar to the Coca-Cola process, to save shipping space. The high-speed rotary filler injects the golden liquid at a rate of 400 per minute. A drop of liquid nitrogen is often added just before capping. This nitrogen drop expands into a gas, pushing the oxygen out of the headspace of the bottle and pressurizing it so the plastic feels firm. From the nitrogen-fixing roots of the plant to the hexane showers and the steam-stripping vacuum towers, the production of soybean oil is a testament to industrial scale. It is a commodity that links the farmer in Iowa to the street food vendor in Bangkok. It is invisible in our food, yet essential to the caloric intake of the human race. It is liquid energy, refined to absolute purity.